The 21-year-old phenom Elly Cruz hit for the cycle in what I think is the game of the year against the Braves. The Angels, they made a trade for a player. While that player was still playing, Francisco Lindor, he reacted to it. IKF, he stole a base, then said, nah, I was out. He walked off the bag. He got tagged out even though he was safe. The Yankees, they are completely falling apart right now. All of that in today's MLB Recap, a series in which we recap every single game almost every single day. And a reminder, use code Fuzzy on SeatGeek if you're going to any baseball games anytime soon. Now let's go ahead and talk about that breaking. I'm putting that in air quotes because this happened yesterday. Eduardo Escobar of the Mets was traded to the Angels, and I'm not gonna lie to you guys, this trade actually makes a lot of sense because Gio Urshela, he's gonna be missing for the rest of 2023 with some surgery, and Anthony Rendon, he cannot stay off the IL. Now I kind of feel bad because this time around he was hit by a pitch. It was not his fault. Eddie, he hasn't played a ton this year, only 40 games or something like that, but he hasn't even been all that good in those 40 games. The Halos, all they need is depth, and he provides that. He can play every single position on the diamond. The Mets, they get two minor league pitchers in Landon Marceau, I think that's how you say his last name, and Coleman Crow. Two scratch-off tickets. If they hit, cool. If they don't, whatever. Now, while we're on the subject of the Halos, let's recap their game yesterday against Colorado. Jurickson Profar, he ripped a leadoff home run, and after both teams traded a few runs over the next few frames, Ohtani, he stepped up in the 5th inning. It is a 2-2 tie ball game, and of course, he unties it. He extends his MLB lead with his 25th home run, and then Mike Trout, he makes it back-to-back. They each went 434 feet on their home runs. Now, rookie Ezequiel Tovar of the Rockies got it back to a 1-run game, but that's okay because the Angels bullpen has been pretty, okay, except for this game, I guess. Elias Diaz, he rakes at Coors Field. That grand slam gives him a 350 batting average with 7 home runs and a 10.01 OPS at home. Justin Lawrence, he used his nasty sidearm stuff to set the Angels down 1-2-3 with a couple strikeouts in the 9th inning. In my opinion, that's probably the worst loss for the Angels all season long. Now, it could be even worse if the Rangers and Astros both pick up W's, so let's talk about the Rangers game before we talk about the Astros game. Leody Taveras, he lifted a shallow pop fly to center field, and IKF's newness in the outfield really came to the forefront. Now, don't get me wrong, he's been pretty good out there, but the lack of communication, or really the lifelong instincts that outfielders build from Little League to Major League, it kind of cost them. Duran, he motors all the way around from first to score, and staying with IKF, he stole second base in the 5th and just walked off the bag because he thought he was out. That's just an absolutely brutal game for IKF. Now we're going to fast forward to extras because this game was tied after 9. Adolis Garcia, he muscled one out. He is MLB's first player to 60 RBIs. He has 17 home runs and a 125 OPS plus. The Yankees, they are dead last in runs scored and OPS in the month of June. They have a 254 on base percentage as a team in June. That is horrific. So the Angels fall to 7 games back of the Rangers after the Rangers beat the Yankees. Now what about the Houston Astros? Now they're taking on the Dodgers in LA, so I'm sure that fans were going to be very respectful of Jose Altuve. By the way, Robert Manfred, he came out and said that he regrets giving immunity to the Astros. I cannot believe that this did not get more attention, but anyways, that happened. Now back to the game where we saw Mookie Betts. He launched a monster home run, a leadoff home run. The future Hall of Famer now has 18 on the season. The rookie Emmett Sheehan, he did give up 2 tanks in the 4th to allow Houston to get right back into it, but fellow rookie Michael Busch, he got 1 right back in the next frame, and it could have been more, but Rojas, he was thrown out at home. Sheehan, he ended up going 6 innings. He was really good despite those 2 home runs allowed. Gratterall, he converted his 4th save of the year. So the Astros, they're 6.5 games back of first place. The Rangers, they're kind of running away with that division right now. I was completely wrong about them. Now, before we talk about the game of the year, the Braves versus the Reds, I want to talk about some games that were not games of the year because they were absolute beatdowns. Willy Adames, he drove in 5 runs in this one. He had 1 on a single in the 1st inning, and there's 3 more on a 6th inning pimp job. I mean, that ball was absolutely tattooed. Joey Wiemer and Christian Yelich, they made it a 7 spot for Wade Miley, who lowers his season ERA to 2.93 after 6 more shutout innings. He has a career 4 ERA, but with the Brewers over 133 career innings, he has a 2.7 ERA. Adames, he teed off again. He has 12 home runs, and he really needed that because he has 3 extra base hits and 6 RBIs over his last 11 games. All 3 extra base hits and all 6 RBIs came in yesterday's game. Here we go, the Rays and the Royals. Jose Siri, he didn't drive in 5 like Willie, but he'll take a big 4 RBI day. That 3-run home run in the 2nd was his 13th home run of the season already, and after Salvi tied on a long 2-run home run in the very next half inning, that was his 15th, by the way, Siri, he delivered again. He had an RBI single in the 4th, and then Zach Evelyn, he really settled down. The Rays offense, they entered some auto extra base cheat code or something like that because they started pouring it on. 6 6 of the 9 hitters for the Tampa Bay Rays drove in an RBI. I know that the A's are the worst team in baseball, but for me, the most embarrassing and pathetic team in baseball is the Kansas City Royals. They were not supposed to be this bad. I mean, they could be in the conversation for the worst team ever created. Here's a blowout I was not expecting. We have the Mariners and the Orioles. The Mariners torched Baltimore to a tune of 13-1. There was a bunch of small ball that made it 3-0 early, and that's no small ball right there. Tom Murphy, he sent one nearly 420 feet for a 2-run moonshot, and Teo, he added to it. Teoscar, he's got to be one of the 10 strongest hitters in all of baseball. Logan Gilbert, he showed exactly why he was so highly coveted as a top prospect. He held the Baltimore Orioles to 2 hits over 7 innings. He struck out 5 along the way, and much like the Rays, the Seattle Mariners entered some auto cheat code or something like that where they just got auto base hits. They erupted for a 7-run 8th inning. Every single one of those runs was scored on a single. So like I mentioned earlier, the Mariners, they dismantled the Orioles 13-1. Another team that scored 13 runs, the San Diego Padres, and Ha-Seong Kim, he was all of San Diego's offense to start this one. His solo home run in the first was his 7th, and then he plated 2 more. Those 2 came on a single. He's now on pace for a 15 home run, 29 stolen base season, and a near 5 F4 season because he has 15 DRS, 15 defensive run saves already. Hello? It's not even the All-Star break yet. Xander, he exploded on this pitch. Pause. That 3-run home run was his 8th of the season. His batting average and slugging has pretty much dropped off a cliff, but I'm hoping that this is the start of a hot stretch. Musgrove, he was really good. He diced up Washington for 7 punchies over 7, allowing just 1 run, no walks. The San Diego Padres, they got up to double digits in the 7th. Soto, he had an RBI double. Old man Jenkins, Nelson Cruz, he drove in 2 more. And Grisham, he doubled in 1 more. Right before Juan Soto yanked a 2-run home run. He has an insane .430 on base percentage over his last 24 games. The Padres, they went easy, and now it's time. The game of the year. Here we go, the game of the year. This game had literally everything, so sit back and enjoy the madness. After Travis d'Arnaud socked a 3-run tater and Orlando Arcia doubled in Eddie Rosario, you're probably thinking that the magical win streak for the Reds is going to be over. Nope. Elly De La Cruz hit a screaming 117-mile-per-hour double, and Jake Fraley, he's a cheat code with runners in scoring position, so of course he went yard. De La Cruz, he showed off all of the tools in the 3rd. He robbed Matt Olson on a sick catch down the line, and then he golfed the pitch for a home run. It is now a 1-run game. Just kidding, it's tied now. The future first ballot Hall of Famer Joey Votto, he clutched up again, only to have Matt Olson untie it. That was his first of 2 home runs, so stay tuned. Elly, he singles in Matt McClain in the very next frame, and there's Joey Votto again. That 3-run moonshot sent the entire baseball community into a frenzy. He has been so good since coming back from shoulder surgery. India, he singled in another, and Elly, he's gonna rip one to the gap. He's gonna turn on the Jets. He's gonna try and get 3, and he got it. That's a cycle. He's the 2nd youngest player since 1972 to have a cycle. He's basically hitting .370 with 3 home runs and 7 stolen bases in his first 15 games. Now Ronald, he got one back on his 16th. Okay, there's 1 more from Austin Riley. Make it 3 home runs in a row for the Braves. Matt Olson, he now has 23 home runs and 55 RBIs. Just unfortunately, 10 runs was not enough. Alexis Diaz, he has an easy 1-2-3 9th inning. He has converted 21 saves in a row, and the Reds, they have now won 12 games in a row. Great, now every other game is going to feel kind of bleh, but honestly, this A's and Jays game was pretty fun, not going to lie. JJ Bleday, he whacked a 2-run tater in the 1st, and Shea Langoliers, he made it a 3 spot in the 1st. Now, speaking of 3 spots, Kiermaier, he doubled in Jansen, and Vladdy, he got all 3 of those runs back on 1 swing. That 3-run, 434-foot missile was his first home run in Canada this year. Yes, his very first home run at home. I could not believe it took him almost 70 games. Just the first inning guys for Oakland, they came back for their team. JJ Bleday, he tied it on a sac fly, and Shea Langoliers, he sent one out for the lead, his 9th home run of the year. Trevor May, he shut it down, and the A's, they win 5-4 in a pretty shocking W down in Toronto. The Twins and the Tigers, Royce Lewis has 100% played like a former first overall pick. After that home run, he's now hitting .310 with 6 home runs and a 135 OPS plus in his first 32 big league games. Max Kepler was horrific to begin the season, but over the last 2 weeks, he has really boosted his stat line. That 3-run home run gives him a 300 batting average and a 1044 OPS over the last 2 weeks. 1 game after Joe Ryan threw Minnesota's first complete game shutout in over a decade. Kenta Maeda, now he didn't go 9 innings scoreless, but he threw 5 scoreless. He struck out 8 Tigers over 5. Johan Duran, he struck struck out the side in the ninth. He now has 10 saves on the year. The Twins, they've won 3 in a row, and they are officially a game over 500. The Marlins and the Pirates, Luis Ariz collected another 3 hits in this one. He's hitting .402 on the season. Now, I don't know if his team is going to come away with a W, so let's talk about the starting pitchers. Jesus Luzardo of the Marlins, he went 7 shutout, and he struck out 9 hitters. Luis Ortiz of Pittsburgh, he wasn't as nasty, but he was still really, really good. He went 8 innings, only allowed 1 earned run. He kept Pittsburgh in the game for as long as he physically could, and thankfully, his lineup finally rewarded his efforts. That Connor Joe ground out ties it, and Silos, Carlos Santana, he put the Pirates out by 1, and Tucupita Marcano, one of my favorite names in baseball, he added an insurance run for David Bednar, who of course closed it. He has not had a save opportunity in weeks because the Pirates had lost 9 or 10 games in a row. And the crazy part is, even after not getting a save op over the last 2 weeks, he still has 15 saves as the Pirates win 3-1. The Phillies and the Mets, the 702 boys got it going early for Philly. 702 is just the area code for Las Vegas, by the way. Bryce, he's from Las Vegas. There's an RBI single, and Bryson, a sac fly, also from Las Vegas. Brandon Nimmo, he made things interesting with his 8th home run, but that was it from the former New York Met. Taijuan Walker, he has allowed a grand total of 2 runs. Since I said that he was stealing money, I said that almost a month ago. He strikes out 5 over 6 as Brandon Marsh and Trey Turner, they rip it open to a 5-run day. Marsh, he's hitting .351 over the last 2 weeks, even though he's striking out nearly 50% of the time. Kind of a weird stat line. And hopefully Trey Turner can turn things around because he's hitting .244 with an 86 OPS plus on the season. Now, speaking of turning things around, the Mets, they better do that quickly. They dropped to 34-41. As a team, they are bottom 10 in ERA, batting average, and on base percentage. The Mets right now are a complete mess, and honestly, I kind of want to make a full video on the Yankees and the Mets because they're broken right now. Here we go, a battle of the top drawer, or where do you guys keep your socks at? The Red Sox versus the White Sox. I feel terrible for Lucas Giolito. Tim Anderson, he just flat out missed that back pick, so rookie David Hamilton is going to fly around to score. Lucas's defense failed him again. They allowed Yoshida to get on after an error, and yeah, that one hurts. Devers unloaded on that pitch, 434 feet for his 18th. He also now has 60 RBIs. He joins Adolis Garcia. So even though Lucas struck out 10, allowing just 1 earned run, he gets the L by Brian Bayo and the Sox offense, the Red Sox offense. Brian Bayo, he almost went 7. He struck out 5, only walked 1 hitter. He has a 2.35 ERA over his last 31 innings. Kenley Jansen, he wrapped up his 16th save, his 407th of his career. The Red Sox are 1.5 game back of a wild card spot. They're 7-3 over their last 10. The Diamondbacks and the Giants, Evan Longoria sent this pitch out for his 341st career home run. He gives Arizona an early lead, but San Francisco's offense, they're just so good. Conforto, he ripped a 2-run double, and rookie Blake Sabol, he legged out an RBI double as well. Now, even after AZ took the lead back, San Francisco, they were not worried. JD Davis, he tied it up on a double, and then there's another double, another RBI double from Michael Conforto. He only has 6 doubles in 67 games, so a third of his 2-baggers came yesterday. This kid right here, he's the real deal, which is bad news for Joey Bart, the former catcher who was supposed to be the next big thing. I don't know if he's going to get a chance because Patrick Bailey is a 24-year-old switch-hitting catcher who is absolutely a monster defensively. He's hitting .322 with 4 home runs now. Brandon Crawford and Lamont Wade Jr., they teamed up for a sick play to end it. Crawford with a dive, Lamont Wade Jr. with the scoop at first base. Doval, he now has 21 saves and a 1.82 ERA. The Giants, they win a massive game versus the first-place Snakes. They're just 2.5 games back of first place now. Honestly, this was one of my favorite recaps that we have ever made. Thank you all so much for the support as of late. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed, don't forget to leave a like. If you're brand new, hit that subscribe button, and I'll catch you guys soon for another recap.